We got to break Sariba up. Sariba is a cartel.
We have to own our grid because we paid for it. You had it too long. That's number one. We need to control the purchasing of fuel because we pay for it. We should be in charge of buying it. The fuel companies, you better buckle up too. Jackson Point Pipeline have to be reverted back to the ownership of the country. Oh, Mario, you can't tell them how to operate their business. Well, yes, we can. Having this idea that you're going to impose what's best because of what the law tells you can do will cause an uprising in this country that you've never seen before. My children are going to be saddled with the debt of a billionaire so that he can have his name printed on everything we got around here. Because, let me tell you something, this is Dart Island. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Word of Mouth. Today is Wednesday, the 29th of March. And I must say that this is the second week that we've been consistent in terms of having our regularly scheduled shows. Last week we did Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. This week now we're on Wednesday. We did Monday already. Certainly, I only mention that simply because last year, leading into the new year, there was a lot of difficulties trying to get in here on a regular basis. But yeah, we're finally, making that turn where we can have these shows back on air consistently. Don't forget that you can watch it live on YouTube as well, or you can even watch it later on YouTube on our YouTube channel, Word of Mouth. There's a few things circulating within the political halls of Parliament, all of the different speculations and the back and forth. And, obviously last week was one of those things where we went in a tailspin where our deputy premier resigned effective immediately. He was also the Minister of Finance, and then there was no real clear reason as to why. And then it took almost a week. In fact, it took exactly a week for the premier to come out and address the public and shed a little bit more light on what took place. Now, again, sometimes, we have to create certain pressures in order to make sure that we get the answers. Now, I just want to take a quick pause and stop to recognize that we had a tragic accident again last night involving two bicycle riders who was hit by a car, and the driver apparently didn't stop. Again, I don't know the circumstances. I don't want to speculate. I just know that a young man lost his life and another one is fighting for his life right now currently. We just want to send out our well wishes and prayers and condolences to the family that lost a loved one. It's never an easy thing to deal with when you lose a loved one, especially untimely. So again, we just want to pay our respects to that family and pray for the young man who's now still currently fighting for his life. And I would like to encourage, if not already happened, the person who was involved with the collision and didn't stop, to turn yourself in. I mean, unfortunately, you didn't take that decision to stop and try to assist, because that might have been the difference between life and death. But again, we take this moment to say our well wishes and our prayers and condolences to those families. Couple of things I want to touch on before we dive right into the show this morning, because I have a few things that I'm working on in regards to getting some projects on the ground here in Cayman. All right. One, we saw where the premier made his announcement. We also saw what he said in regards to the removal of Mr. Saunders from the PAC government and from his role as deputy premier and minister of finance. So one of the things that bothers me the most is that it happened and then no one really understood what was taking place, right? And when you reshuffle cabinet and remove the deputy premier, minister of finance, that's a very serious implication. We want to know what took place. The public deserve to know. We elected everybody in there. So at the end of the day, it's one of those things that we struggle with trying to understand. So, but again, what do? we just put the pressure on and hopefully we get answers like we did. So the premier felt compelled to come out and clarify. Um, but we shouldn't have had to put public pressure. We shouldn't have. But again, it come in like a thing of the norm now. Now, I was listening to Radio Cayman, for the record, Mr. Oric Connor and Dr. Steve McPhail, and they was talking about constitutional orders, district councils, the autonomy of the governor, and the reach that he have. And the funny thing is that all of the territories and constitutions written all over the British Commonwealth and colony, their constitutions are written in a way that the Foreign Commonwealth Office is supposed to act in the best interest of the country in which is a part of their jurisdiction. But in our constitution, when you look at how the governor has an unwavering ability to interfere with political decisions and democratic processes that takes place in the halls of parliament. And the reason why I mention that is that the fact that just recently under the same-sex unions, where we had a big public debate in regards to how our constitution recognized those unions, right? The governor knew very well that he would overrule our parliament had they not voted in favor in which he was instructed, or in which his mandate was given to him to uphold, right? But the funny thing is, and I want to make mention of this very quick, I just want to reflect back on that time when he did overrule the democratic process that was allowed to happen in the halls of parliament. Not less than 2 weeks after that, the Queen got up on the UK Parliament and gave a speech and said the colonies are to make up their minds how they want to run their country, that they didn't want to interfere with, and she was speaking particularly about that particular issue. But again, it's just funny how Martin Roper could have demonstrated the ultimate power, the reserve powers of the governor under Section 81, which is linked to Section 51 of the Constitution, to overrule a democratic process. So I just want to highlight and make sure that I articulate this properly for the listening public. And I want you all to understand what transpired when the governor enacted Section 81 of the Constitution that gave his reserve powers to do whatever he wanted to do, right? Now, prior to allowing government to go in to have a vote, now all elected members in Parliament went in to vote on whether we wanted to change our same-sex union policies, right? Now, when it went in, the governor knew very well what his mandate was and what he was going to ultimately do if he had to. Not once did he sit and have a conversation, and if he did, it was in public knowledge, with Parliament, and simply said, guys, look, we can avoid this process of embarrassment if you guys are in fact not going to vote in favor in which I've been mandated to uphold. And he could have spared this country a political black eye, which we are now suffering political backlash and whiplash from it. I mean, we've been trying to get off of the OECD's gray list now since the time of Moses. And we still can't understand why we're on it, because we got some of the most complicated laws to do any banking or anything of the sort in the Cayman Islands. I don't even understand why we're on the OECD list to begin with. We should be on the HALO list of angels when you take into consideration how difficult it is to open a bank account here in the Cayman Islands. I mean, even as a local, our anti-money laundering laws are so critical and complicated and harsh that even to the local people that have probably never even traveled outside this jurisdiction have to provide information to open a bank account in Cayman as if they were international business people. I can tell you, and everybody in Cayman would agree and would support what I'm saying in regards to that. Now, when this transpired, we understand that the governor had a mandate. The Parliament went in, they voted, we won the vote, the democratic process, majority rules, They voted against changing the law, but yet the governor came in immediately, enacted and Section 81, which was the reserve powers, and overturned the decision. Now, if you think removing the deputy premier and the minister of finance is embarrassing or causing some sort of international lack of confidence because we may appear to be unstable, can you imagine? Can you imagine the governor, the sitting governor, overruling the entire members of parliament, or well, we should say the majority of members of parliament? What more? What's more damaging to our reputation, or what's more telling that we don't have the capability of running our country than a governor overruling a democratic process that voted in favor by majority to not change a law in our constitution? You be the judge. But yet, this same Martin Roper, who thank God is leaving tomorrow or this week, thank God that this governor is leaving. Matter of fact, I don't know why we even had a farewell party for this man. He had $1.5 million cocktail budget. He had more parties at the governor house, which is our house on the beach, and he invited anybody he wanted. And I don't understand why we even giving him a going away party. He would have had to buy his own airline ticket if it were left up to me. And the Jaguar that he drives around in with a chauffeur, the police chauffeur, he would have had to catch a taxi to the airport if it were me, because he wasn't going in that. From the time your representation here is over, all your privileges are over too. Yeah, you would have had to catch a cab to get to the airport. That's just how I roll. But at the end of the day, how do we collectively grasp our position in the foreign commonwealth pecking order when we have a governor who didn't even blink an eye to enact his reserve powers to overrule a democratic process that was done by the duly elected people in these islands to look out for the best interests of the people of these islands? This is a man that was a Johnny come lately, right? He hadn't even been in Cayman 2 years yet when he flexed his foreign commonwealth political colonialism muscle and overruled the democratic process in our halls of parliament. And somehow all of these monkeys that swinging on the branches of parliament have seemingly forgotten that conveniently. But I don't really understand why we let people like that off the hook. But I do understand politics, and that there are no enemies in politics, right? When they all want a common goal, they all become friends. They set aside all the differences to get what they want. So I want to know, how come they can't set aside their differences to implement something that we want or that's in the best interest of us, the general public? They can put aside their differences to attain what they want, but they can't put aside their political differences and emotions to get what we need and what we want and what is in the best interest of the general public. That is the question we should be asking ourselves the next time we go to the polls to vote. Oh, here are some members that sold out the next members to form the government to get what they want while they trample the wishes of the people's democratic process. I personally think that a educated democracy is a tall order, but an informed democracy is something more attainable, and I believe we can get. And there is a stark difference between the two, right? But how do we get from the point that we're in now to be able to champion the things that are really in the best interest of the people? Well, you really don't, because you got to use the duly elected people. Now, listening to Dr. McFeel and Oric Connor on the For the Record talk show this morning, obviously there are some things that was pointed out, because Steve is a lawyer. He's a constitutional lawyer at that. So if there's anybody to give you an interpretation of the sections of that particular document, he would be the right person to go to. Now, what I would like to know is that if you have a constitutional order, which happens to be separate and apart from the law, but it's still a set of regulations and rules in which we, I guess, pretend to abide by when it's convenient for us, especially as politicians. Because I don't understand why is it that there are very limited things that are happening which are in the best interest of the general public. Now, all that aside, now when we look at the things that are happening within our community and society, I was talking to a lady yesterday, and it was just by chance. And she was telling me that she has to go out and I think I don't know if it was get boosted or whatever the case is, but she had to get vaccinated in order to submit her work permit or to submit the renewal. The thing that I'm a little concerned about is how come well, first of all, let me be very clear in this. When Wayne Panton and his government went in and passed a piece of legislation, and I don't know how the Attorney General, I don't know how Samuel Bulgin sat in good conscience in the halls of parliament and didn't advise the blind government at the time that enacting a law or legislating a law or passing a law, however it is, however you want to word it legally. I'm not a lawyer. But how is it that Samuel Bulgin, our Attorney General, who's supposed to be advising the government on making legal decisions that might have some implications down the road, could sit down in good conscience and allow the government to pass a law with his blessing to tell people that if you don't get vaccinated, we're gonna cancel your work permit and you can't get a work permit granted. Now, you must understand what this means, right? We live in a country that has 72,000 people in population, and the reason why that number is almost correct is because those numbers came from a consensus that was done last year, from a census that was done last year. Okay, 72,000 and change. Okay, listen to me good. And if you go on the ESO website, the Economical and Statistic Office website, you will see that there are 34,500 and change work permits granted in the Cayman Islands. Now, I don't need to tell you to do the math. Okay? Half of 70 is 35. So half of 72 is what? So we got more people on work permits than we do residents and Caymanians. Now, to have a law in place that states that it is against the law to work in the Cayman Islands unless you're vaccinated is an indictment on not only our labor force, but on our society on a whole. Right? Can you imagine right now in this moment where there's no more COVID-19 things that are being implemented, all of the travel stuff has been released, all of the requirements for these lateral flow tests to go and travel, all of this stuff has been abandoned except for our government, who still got in place, in my opinion, an illegal law that discriminated and took advantage against on people. How is it that the Cayman Islands government, how is it that Wayne Panton was so quick to enact a law that he claimed was in the protection of the people? Now imagine, right? These people got out there on every waking moment they got to try to convince us to take a vaccine that didn't work and still don't work. But yet they still have a law that say that you can't get a work permit unless you got a vaccination card. Come on, man. We running a properly ran banana republic. I think that we could create a banana republic model for another country who won't be run as poorly as we are. Now they'll get up and sing their song and dance about, oh, the economy is great and this is great, but for who? Cayman economy booming for who? This is not about who we developing for. This is about who we booming for. Who this economy booming for? Because I know it's not booming for the lady that sleeps on the beach with her 3 children and wait for the sun to go down so they can bathe in the public bathroom. I know it not booming for her and many like her, and not to mention the people who live in homes that they could barely scrape by to keep the light, water, and put food on the table. We got a bunch of hypocrites swinging in the hall of parliaments from branch to branch, telling themselves that every time they touch a tree, it turns to gold. I don't understand why there ain't a better job, but of course not, because we got the deputy governor who sits in cabinet who shouldn't be in cabinet. What the deputy governor doing in cabinet to address civil service issue? Well, summons him to the court. When you need him, summons him to the halls of parliament. The attorney general sitting in the hall and cabinet. Okay, I can see an argument there because they all so blind and clueless. You need somebody with a legal frame of mind to say, hey, stop doing that. You got to do this. But We don't even see that from our Attorney General. We don't. He allowed them to pass a law that discriminated against more than half of our population. Now, let me tell you how critical that is. Those same people on work permits, there are two major factors in their existence. Let me tell you. They play a significant role in the GDP because the money is derived from work permits goes into the GDP. Okay, that fills a huge gap. Secondly, those work permit people work for institutions that are locally owned, and those local business owners need the workforce because we don't have the local harvest to fulfill every job in order for the businesses to conduct properly. So for the premier and his government to sit down in a room collectively and come up with the idea that, oh, well, we're going to outlaw work permits if you're not vaccinated. We protested against this. We had protests in the streets against this. And not one of them came out to address the problem except for the opposition. I remember Roy McTaggart and a couple of his members came out and addressed the public on the steps of the Legislative Assembly. I would right in the front. I remember talking to them. We protested against them discriminating against people on work permit. And I know I don't have a horse in this race. I'm a local Caymanian that got children here that I want to see have a bright future in our island. But we got narcissistic, egotistical politicians like Wayne Pannon passing a law that clearly discriminated against people like helpers who were raising our children. Now, let me just say this why I'm so angry about this. Because the lady that helped raise my two children was forced to take the vaccine after she had beat cancer. She beat cancer. Her cancer was in remission. She was forced to take the vaccine. And shortly after she took the second dose, her cancer came back with a vengeance. And subsequently, the woman died weeks later. And she's no longer here. But nobody in Parliament, not one single member of Parliament or Cabinet is being held responsible for any of the implications and side effects from this vaccine. None of them. But yet, we got a law in place that telling these people that if you're not vaccinated, you can't work here. If I ever heard coercion, now that is the highest level of discrimination. Highest level on the books. But that don't shock me because this is the same premier that is championing an anti-bullying law that got one of the biggest bullies in Cayman on his payroll. That same person went in court yesterday for blackmail. Now, you all listen to me. Listen to me good. The governor of the Cayman Islands, thank God he's the exiting governor. Martin Roper was on Cayman Mall Road. The day before, the chief editor, host, and the only person that works at Mall Road was in court for blackmail. Yesterday at 10 o'clock, she went in court for blackmail. Now, that's just one of many cases that she's been in court for. I'm not saying anything about that. Now, I already told you all, if you lay with dog, you catch fleas. So you are a product of your environment. So Mr. Roper, you are a product of your environment. Wayne Panton, you are a product of your environment. Plain and simple. But I can assure you, Mr. Panton, you have served your last term as a sitting member of government in these islands because you're not ever getting elected in Savannah Newlands ever again. You may have to change your constituency and trick a new set of constituents, but we'll be coming in there too to convince them not to vote for you. You will never get elected in this country ever again. I can pledge that to you here today. I will spend every dollar I got to make sure anyone else other than you get elected in this country. And whether or not you want to believe that it was my endorsement that got you elected this last time or not, you go right ahead and tell yourself whatever you want. You lost the previous election to the same person by a couple of votes that you beat this last election after you got my public endorsement. You got 200 extra votes. That's what got you in. You might want to believe that, but it's the truth. But I can tell you this. You don't have my endorsement anymore. You sat at the breakfast table in Newlands, and lied to me and my family. Straight, bold-faced lie. And my son at the time was a second-time voter. My daughter now, who's in college, she's going to be her first-time voter. And you can bet your bottom dollar you don't get them votes. And not because of what I say. I don't rule nothing. I don't tell people what to do. But I inform my children. I keep them informed on what's going on so that they can make a better decision when it comes to the polls. Believe me when I tell you. You understand me real good. You never get elected in Newlands ever again. So you can pack that up now. You got 2 years. Lucky if you make to the end of the year anyway, because we might need a by-election. Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, let's not move away from what's happening here. We have to pay attention to what's transpiring here. Okay? We got a governor who've already exercised his reserve powers, overruled the democratic process, who were then accused of bullying cabinet to pass an anti-gambling law, which he denied and lied. The Compass aired the emails, and now it is a big lie. Government taken by a piece of property off of spots down where Mariners Cove was. I don't know how many millions they paid for it yet because I already filed an FOI. And I go into Lands and Survey to see the date of transfer, how much money they paid, and the stamp duty that was paid. Because if you telling me that the government can go and buy a piece of property that nobody in the private sector would want, because after Hurricane Ivan, it was clear that that property wasn't something you wanted to operate on. But again, we having these issues where people are not paying attention to what's going on. They're not paying attention. Now, we have a situation in the Cayman Islands where foreclosed homes is a problem, right? Foreclosure is a problem. But yet, we don't have the government addressing any of those issues. If the government would put the same level of emphasis on protecting the local people in this country as they do to the industries that generate revenue, we'd be all right. We would be all right. Now, understand what I'm saying is that yes, the two pillars of our economy need all the attention in the world. And so does our people. So does the sustainability of our people. So the same emphasis and energy and time and resources that you put into that, put into us too. How are you going to reinvest in your people by over investing in other things that do not benefit your people? Nobody don't want to ever talk about what's really transpiring in government simply because everybody got a friend that is a member of government, but I don't care about that. I don't care about that. If this was a Renaissance period where you can send a man to the gallows for failing the public, I bet you you'll see some top-notch political ambitions moving forward then. But you see, we don't have that. And these people are allowed to run roughshod over the people for as long as they want. And I can tell you right now, that not gonna be sustainable. You're not be able to sustain that. No. So all we need to do is pay close attention to what's happening. All right? Pay close attention to what's happening. Now, if a lot of people don't realize what's going on in this world, right? Because there's a lot of things that have implications that will affect us, People not I watch the news and I don't see them broadcasting where Russia and China, Saudi and the people in Iran has become partners now. Remember now, in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and Iran were the greatest rivals and greatest enemies. They in peace now. They're allies. Okay. I hope I understand what's about to happen globally. And if you think Cayman will be caught in the crossfires, keep depending on North America for everything. You'll see what happens. Goodbye, Mr. Governor. We're sorry. No, we're not sorry. You're right. The governor, I keep telling him, I keep telling him, Martin Rupert, as a last ditch effort, don't forget anything in the Cayman Islands because we don't need you to have a reason to come back here. And I don't care how many people like you. I really don't care. You wasn't a good governor. You didn't mean Cayman well. Okay? You didn't. Good riddance. Make sure you get every dog bowl. Make sure you get every dog toy. Make sure you get every piece of clothing and everything that's vital to your existence. And when you leave, make sure you got everything because we don't want you coming back here. It's unfortunate that we got bringing another one on here. But until we have constitutional reform, because one of the conversations that they were talking about this morning was Bermuda on that radio show, talking about the level of autonomy that the governor have in Bermuda. The governor can't sit in the halls of parliament in Bermuda. Bermuda make all the decisions. But a lot of people were saying that that was pre-independence. That I mean pre-colonialism for them. That was before they became a colony. But I don't care. If the UK could accept that they have the autonomy over their parliament, so they can also accept it in other jurisdictions. The problem is that we got spineless cowards who are afraid to say this is what our position is and this is what we want. But I know Mr. Ormond Panton wanted it in the 50s. He wanted self-internal governance without any interference of the governor. He can sit and watch. But no, these spineless modern day cowards we got here, they not got the simple foresight to understand the importance of having your own autonomy to make decisions in your country that's in the best interest of your people. No, they don't know that. They're all followers. They're all sheep. But nobody don't want to have that conversation because it's rude and you can't do that and you can't. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? There are a lot of things that we need to kick in order. And I can tell you right now, laying down and playing dead ain't one of them. It's not one of them. We have all of these issues that are facing us or that we are facing. And nobody is championing any of these things that is going to create a sustainable environment for all of us. Again, we got a law that discriminates against our workforce, our labor force, and nobody is saying or doing anything about it. Why is it that this government don't redact that law and remove it off the books and just simply say in order and it's always been in place. If you look under the immigration labor law, you have to present a clean bill of health in order to get a permit. You have to do a medical, police record and a medical. So I'm confused why Mr. Panton and his government still holds the position that you have to have a law that say you have to be vaccinated to to work in the Cayman Islands. That right there, my friend, is ridiculous. And I don't know why the Attorney General, which is about to retire, don't let that be one of the suggestions that he make to Parliament before he exit the arena. And the other question I want to ask, and maybe we got to write it in the Constitution, we got to do something about the term limits for deputy governors. I want to know how long Frans Manders is going to be deputy governor until he decides he don't want to be deputy governor. Because the civil service is who fall under him. He responsible. And the civil service got a lot of issues, tons of issues. And nobody in the civil service, I don't care who you are, can't tell me that you don't, because you do. I used to work in the civil service. I can tell you there's a lot of problems in there. And that was 20-something years ago. But I can tell you this. There's a lot of issues. A lot of issues. And he not addressing any of them. Every year he have a 5K run. Yeah. So a couple of things we need to focus on. We need to focus on how we are going to go about changing this narrative because it's not sustainable. It's not. And as I mentioned to you all before, last week and earlier this week, when we paint that picture, and this is Wayne Pannon's track record, when we paint the picture on the things that he's done since he's taken office as the premier. One, he brought back Jennifer Ahern. I'm talking about that regen project in the landfill. Since Wayne paid platform claimed that I'm not expert or what I know about it because I did some scrap metal projects. The fact that she mentioned that I did a scrap metal job, then she caught herself and then she had to degrade it by saying, oh, and he didn't even do a good job at that. Then she started lying. I want to know when the premier is gonna hold people accountable for making public statements that are false, that are blatant lies. Sandra Catron on Cayman Mall Road, and I quote, said, Dart gave Mario Rankin money to clean up the island that was misappropriated. First of all, Dart didn't give anybody any money to help clean up Cayman. Facts. Dart didn't give Mario no money to clean up Cayman. Facts. It's going to be very hard to misappropriate funds that I never got. It's going to be very hard to get funds from a contract that don't exist. But she was allowed to say this in defense of the premier, you know. The reason she immediately started to tear down Chris Saunders is because she knew that the premier was going to come out and say why they removed Chris Saunders. So she was setting the stage for defense of the premier, but she chose to lie to do it. She wanted to tear down my character and my ability by telling lies to her zombie audience who just listen to everything she say because they think everything she say is real. The reality is that Dart didn't give nobody no contract. I didn't misappropriate any funds because I didn't have any funds to misappropriate. And on top of all of that, right? On top of all of that, she said that people burnt up my trucks because I didn't pay the drivers. She can't find one driver. Now she can get everybody on her show. If you can get the governor on your show, why you don't find one truck driver that you claim I didn't pay? Go find one of them. You can't do that. Go find the court cases and the bank that you say borrowed $1 million from. Go find this bank because everybody in Cayman need to find that bank. You keep talking about the same things over and over and over and over again. But when you are defeated in debate, you then go to slander and name calling because you don't got nothing. And that's all you do. Right? You are a baseless platform. All you do is repeat already broadcast news. I don't know if any of you understand that she only just cut and paste. She don't broadcast nothing. There's no breaking nothing other than the premier's office. Oh yeah, she get breaking news from his office because they work together. But yet he got anti-bullying law, but everybody in Cayman afraid to end up on Mall Road. You understand what I'm saying? He got an anti-bullying law that he trying to pass, but yet his platform of choice is in court almost every month, convicted 3 times a lying, were in court yesterday for blackmail, and have a saying on the road that you don't want to end up on Mall Road. But people who don't want to end up on Mall Road are weak. You understand? She can only have substance if she call my name. So I've given her another reason to keep calling my name. Now watch what she can say about me now when she hear about this show. She could just repeat what she said Monday. And what she said the year before that and the year before that. I live in the Caribbean. My father is an Indian. And yes, when I socialize, I drink alcohol. I don't ever deny that. Never did, never will. But you know what you do? Tell everybody in Cayman that don't drink alcohol to point a finger at themselves. And you'll be shocked, including you. Because all I'm going to do. So I don't really care. So you can go and say what you want to say, try to degrade me all you want, which you have tried on several occasions, and all you do is sound like a broken record. But I want to know where this bank is that lends money that you don't have to pay back. Please, don't tell me. Tell all of the poor listeners that listen to you that like gossip and hear when somebody being torn down. Tell them so they can go borrow it too. Maybe they give you something out of it. But you can't tell them because it don't exist. Listen, we all got difference of opinion, but there's one thing that we all got in common, and those are the facts. So when you see the premier championing all these things that he claimed he's a leader in, listen, just pay attention to what it is he's saying. Just pay attention. We have all these issues that we're facing. We got all these things that need to be done, but yet none of the things that are important to the general public and the majority of the people takes priority. None of them. But I can assure you, the higher they go, the harder they fall. Never forget that face you pass on the way up, because that'll be the same face you pass on the way down. Mr. Walsham Conley told me that. Well, he said it on Radio Cayman, and that's where I heard it. Truer words have never been spoken. So enjoy the view on the top floor, because the hit on the bottom floor is going to be a lot harder. Believe me when I tell you. So when we look at the things that are happening within our society, we must take a strong step back and take it all in. Cost of living, all the things that are affecting the poor people in this country. And yet the premier still insists on having a law that discriminates against half of our population and 90% of our workforce. It's unbelievable. And the Attorney General sit flat on his ass and do nothing. When Doctors Hospital filed a lawsuit against Health City, you all remember this? And the government for giving all these concessions? The Attorney General brought in a QC, paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to help defend the case against the government, but he, the Attorney General, who gave him permission to spend our money on somebody overseas to come here to do his job? Who? I know I didn't. He didn't ask my permission. He didn't ask my children permission. He didn't ask your permission. He just up and boom, did it, got it, passed through finance committee and done. Guy sitting down here making money off our to defend us. If the Attorney General don't have the capability to defend us legally, then why do he have a job as Attorney General? If the Attorney General cannot properly advise our government to make good, sound legal decisions, then why do he have a job with us? Go somewhere in the private sector. And I don't got nothing against the man personally, but I got everything against anything he do legally in regards to the Cayman Islands. I'm not gonna sit back here and play dead. I don't care who you are. Need I remind the public that I was arrested for calling the governor wife a lie in a private chat that someone shared publicly, and then the DPP office had to call me and tell me they couldn't prosecute me? How you gonna prosecute me when there's no crime? There's no offense. But Dr. Lee, the chief medical officer, who was found guilty in court 1 year before he decided to leave and go back to England, didn't even get a slap on the wrist. No. He got a going away party at the governor's house, paid for by us. If you all don't see the double standards in this country, then you are blind, or you're part of the problem. That's much I can tell you. And right now, we need to take control of this place. Wayne Pannon is not a leader. I'm sorry. He's not even a good MP. I'm sorry. He might be a good personal person to the people he involved with. I don't have no comment on that. But as an elected member of these islands, poor politician, probably one of the worst ever. Believe me when I tell you, probably one of the worst ever. From the 2013 election, where he was the Minister of Finance, where he went away and signed us up for that platform for beneficial ownership. That was the first mistake. No other jurisdiction in the world. It wasn't even a global practice. He was the first one out the gates. Him and Alden. No joke. Then he got beat in the 2017 election. Yeah, he got beat because he was a poor politician. And then Alva did so poorly we couldn't re-elect him, and the only people we had running down Newlands were Wayne, Raoul, Roydell. So we had to take the best of the worst. We had to elect the best of the worst. And boy, let me tell you something. We certainly got the best of the worst. I can tell you that. We got the best of the worst. Wayne Pannon is the best of the worst. I can assure you of that. Believe me. But you see this whole thing with that dumb project? Bring back Jennifer Ahorn after the PPM kicked her out because she poorly negotiated the contract with the DART organization and the consortium. She was kicked out unanimously by that government. When he won the government and they came in and formed, the horse trading took place and he became premier, he brought Jennifer back immediately. Took the portfolio from Sabrina, Now he got rid of Chris because Chris wanted to retender the project because it inflated from 600 million to 1.9 billion and change. And now Chris disappeared and he gone for harassment. I don't know. And now the portfolios in which runs that project all fall under him. Do anybody in Cayman know that he has a business partner that is a part of that consortium? Anybody ever told Lana that he have a business partner who was initially part of that consortium? Oh, he didn't tell nobody that. I couldn't figure out. In fact, I knew why he took such keen interest in that portfolio and that negotiation. I knew. I never said it. But he's painted a Picasso. Trust me on that. But yet, he'll run around with this white cape on like he lily white, but I can tell you he far from it. I don't know what lily white about him. All I know is this, is that the first conversation, I will remind you every time I get an opportunity, the first conversation in the 20-odd years I lived in Newlands that I had with that man, and I know he two brothers really well, the man say he not prejudiced. I say, but Wayne, people who not prejudiced don't have to say it. Then he went on to tell me that he was a product of white privilege. And I dare him to come out in public and say I'm a liar because I record every conversation I have with people I don't trust. And I never trusted him. Just like the day he lied at that breakfast table that he didn't interfere with the board appointments. He lied, but he did. Then we made him admit that he lied. And he didn't. And the reason I had other members of the family there is because I didn't want him to say, oh, that's just Mario saying it. No. He lied in front of two other people. Yeah, Wayne Pandon lied to us that he didn't have no interference on that planning board appointment. But he did. He did. He was influenced by a private member of our society. That's right. That's why he made the change. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about his character. How is it that the governor allowed a premier to interfere with board appointments? And if your reason for telling me, which he lied that morning, if your reason for telling me why you removed a person from the board, from that board appointment, why is it that those reasons are not the same reasons why they can't be appointed to any board? Oh, well, there's other boards we would like to see you on. But wait, your reason for moving the person off of this board should be the same reason why they're not eligible for no board. So you all need to ask on yourself on if this is the person we need leading this country. That is the person we need to sit back and say, wait a minute. If you're willing to lie in the faces of your constituents who voted for you in just a very recent election, months after, then you're capable of a whole lot of things that are far worse. And is that the person we want to represent us moving forward? Hell no. No more Wayne Pandon in Newlands. So one another constituents on a better find a place to put him, on a better call him. I almost dropped a F-bomb just now, you know. Almost. Yeah. But believe me when I tell you, I want to encourage Sammy Jackson, come Newlands and run. He ran against Alden, almost beat him. But Sammy, come a little further down that boulevard, leave Prospect and come Newlands. You got my support down in Newlands. Because I can assure you, Wayne Pandon, done. He finished. No more. So all of what you're doing now, take pictures and videos because they're going to be the only thing you're going to be able to reflect on as a politician moving forward. And if you don't think that this is real, go read the book Machiavelli, chapter 4. When Machiavelli got elected and decided he was going to live somewhere else and try to control the people. Go read that. But we need to fix this dump project. We need to fix this problem because this project is far detrimental in comparison to that cruise port. Because Two things are very similar in these two projects. We stopped that cruise berthing facility because it wasn't in the best interest of the people. We're going to stop this consortium because it's not going to be in the best interest of the people either. And both of them had an environmental element attached to it. Okay? We all agree that we need to fix the dump. 100%. Nobody's arguing that fact. It needs to be fixed. Are there some good suggestions and solutions within the consortium? Maybe. But we need to look at the cost, the methodology, how it's going to be done, who's going to be in control, and who's going to be paying. Those are the key elements that we need to focus on. Those were the things that Mr. Saunders rose that didn't sit well with the Jennifer Ahorns of the world. You understand me what I'm saying? Right? We need Wayne Panton, which he's going to do now when he see this show. I guarantee you he's going to do it in a way to try to make it seem like I would talk in foolishness. Wayne Panton have a business partner who has interest in the landfill consortium. 100%. He gonna come out and say it now, but why it wasn't said in the beginning? It's like when you go to the US courts and a person plead the fifth. Anybody who plead the fifth, guilty. Now the fifth gives them the right not to say nothing, but when you plead the fifth, meaning that what you know you're gonna say ain't true. So at the end of the day, please understand me. When you want to paint a picture of who your leader is, that's Wayne Panton. He brought back, rejected Jennifer Ahorn, who messed up the consortium deal to begin with. He took the portfolio from Sabrina, which is a member of his cabinet. He now subsequently fired Chris Saunders, who was in charge of finance and the distribution of government funds. And he's saying, hey, how this project went from 550 to 600 million to 1.9 billion, we need to retender this. And I think Chris Saunders' gravest mistake was mentioning, well, this consortium don't even involve people who should be involved. And he mentioned Mario Rankin name and Wallen Whitaker name. Oh God, two black men who are local in Cayman, who come from the wrong side of the tracks. Dear God forbid that any of them, any one of the two of them supposed to make anything. And then you got these puppets like Sandra Catron flabbing her lips talking about, well, what Mario Rankin know about landfill? Well, I know a million times more than you. You know why? Because I happen to have done work in the landfill. How much you done in the landfill? How much garbage you dispose from Cayman? How much garbage you recycle? How much scrap metal you removed? Zero. So you don't have the right to say nothing. Yeah. You beat up your gum all the time, talking about all kinds of things that are not true. And you got these people who just love gossip. And that's fine. We got an element of every society. So the only attention you got is people who ain't no better than you, which tells you all you need to know. Yeah. So I want to know how many of them are gonna help you pay that fine when you finally get convicted and somebody hold you to the gun, because I can tell you, you claim you never had to pay a dime, you're a liar. I can tell you that to your face. I watched Robert Hurlston donate $500 to you at the coffee table at Full of Beans when you got convicted and had an order to pay a fine to Blake. Trust me. And if you think I'm a liar, come on air and say that that's a lie. As I say, I record everything that I don't trust and everybody that I don't trust. Yeah. Oh, I got Arsenal. Unstated. I don't think that I don't. Go right ahead. I already challenged Wayne to come out and say that anything I said about him, about the prejudice remarks, is fake. I got it all on recording. He can say whatever he wants. He better come out and prove it. Yeah. No. This is not no joke time now. No. The bell has rang. And it wasn't saying this is the end of the quarter. No. When we ring that bell, this is the beginning of the end of Wayne Panton. Believe me when I tell you. Trust me. Anyway, I have an appointment at 10:30 that I need to go to. And I'll be rolling out there now. And obviously, I'm late and I'll be late. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in. Friday, we're gonna have a hot show. We're gonna roll it out long, and we're gonna touch back on all of these topics. And we're not letting Wayne off the hook, and we're not letting Sandra off the hook. No, 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 no. The chickens have come home to roost. Believe me when I tell you. Time for playing nice is over. So all of the stuff that she talks about me all the time, she can just keep repeating them and repeating them. Oh, Mario borrowed money. He would take him to court. And I've been convicted of anything that she can show you at all. Tell her to go look in the police records. Go look. Go look in the courts. Yeah. I had one unfounded uncle who tried to sue me, but he found out what clock strike. I had people from Celebration Limited abroad tried to sue me. They found out what clock strike. Yeah, that's what she holds on to. Poor them. Listen, people get offended when somebody outsmart them, you know. Plain and simple. Human nature. But she can go flap up her lips again. I wonder if anybody at the DART organization know that she called their name by name, saying that they paid me money that were misappropriated. I wonder if anybody over there heard that. Maybe we should send them a clip. Yeah. But you see, she gets so caught up in the foolishness that she loses herself and she go across the line and she don't care because she don't have the ability to embrace the truth, you see. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you all have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We'll see you on Friday morning. Don't forget to like and watch our page. We're on YouTube, live and direct. For all of you who have Facebook, just go on to your smart TV, click on YouTube, punch in the search bar, word of mouth, stroll across until you see that beautiful face of Mario Rankin. Click on that, and then boom, we live. Have a good day.
We got to break Sariba up. Sariba is a cartel.
We have to own our grid because we paid for it. You had it too long. That's number one. We need to control the purchasing of fuel because we pay for it. We should be in charge of buying it. The fuel companies, you better buckle up too. Jackson Point Pipeline have to be reverted back to the ownership of the country. Oh, Mario, you can't tell them how to operate their business. Well, yes, we can. Having this idea that you're going to impose what's best because of what the law tells you can do will cause an uprising in this country that you've never seen before. My children are going to be saddled with the debt of a billionaire so that he can have his name printed on everything we got around here. Because let me tell you something, this is DART Island.